In this video, I'm going to talk about the history of the electric car. How do we get to this point? It's 2020 and Tesla is pretty much the most popular electric car on the market. There's Teslas popping up everywhere you go. There's charging stations at most major cities at this point. Having an electric car is not really much of a problem because you can charge it. Prices are still pretty high on electric vehicles. If you want a Tesla, there's other options out there, cheaper models, Chevy, Ford. Every car company at this point has their own electric car. Things weren't always this way. So in this episode, I want to dive into the history of electric cars, take you down a timeline of how we got from pretty much wagons with batteries on them to where we are today. Hey, I'm Kasan. This video will be part of the What Happened To playlist. I'll put links below in the description to equipment and other software that I'm using in case you might want to sign up or use it also. Let's get into the video. So when you hear about electric cars these days, you instantly think Tesla. Tesla is a cool kid on the block right now. Everybody wants a Tesla. It's like the new status symbol. I mean, look at the price tag. But it wasn't always like that. Do you know the first electric vehicle made its debut in 1889? Transportation was limited to horseback and trains, but with the expansion of roads, people wanted something more. 1889 was the year that the electric car made its debut successfully. Before 1889, there were attempts at an electric car. Again, most of the attempts at the electric car were just wagons with just electric batteries. But again, up until 1889, there weren't any successful attempts at the electric car. 1889, the electric car gained more popularity. Two reasons. One, it emitted less pollution. And the other reason was it was just quiet. It was heavily advertised to women. Women definitely loved the car at that time. Overall, it was just a cleaner mode of transportation compared to trains and other forms of transportation at the time. Now, at the turn of the century, 1900 to about 1912, the electric car was at its height of popularity. During this time, the electric cars accounted for 1/3 of all cars on the road. Let's think about what was actually happening between 1900 and 1912. A lot of different inventors and businessmen were inventing things during that time. Pretty much during that time, there was a lot of transformation and inventions popping up. A lot of people were just kind of playing and toying with different ideas at the time. But in 1901, Edison, he decided to get into the electric market. He saw the electric car as being the future of transportation. So he developed technology to build on a better battery. Think, right now, you're probably driving a hybrid car or even an electric car. But did you know the first hybrid was created in 1901? Ferdinand Porsche. And if that name sounds familiar, that's because it is. Ferdinand Porsche, the founder of what we know today as Porsche, created the first hybrid car. So between 1900 to 1912, everything was going great. The future was bright for electric cars. The popularity of the electric car was starting to build steam. Everybody was interested. Two reasons that people were really into electric cars at the time was because it just produced less pollution. Again, it was quiet. And overall, it was just better for the environment. But during this time, in the background, Henry Ford was developing his version of the car. And in 1912, the electric starter was introduced, helping to increase gas-powered vehicle sales even more. Again, much like today, the gas-powered car was always a major roadblock for electric cars. Henry Ford created a system so that he could mass produce the Model T, making the gas-powered cars widely available and more affordable. At the end of the day, availability is what's most important for most people. And also during this time, cheap oil and the rise of gas stations across the Midwest and in rural markets was pretty much the knockout punch for the electric car. By 1935, the electric car pretty much disappeared. There were no more improvements. Nobody tried to create anything new. From about 1935 to 1971, the electric car was all but dead. So the 1970s were a major turning point for the electric car. With a major oil shortage in the US, the gas-powered car hit a speed bump during the 1970s. So during the 1970s, the whole industry was kind of looking for another form of transportation. So compared to gas-powered cars, electric vehicles at this time have drawbacks, including limited performance, the range, and of course, I mean, how would you charge an electric car in 1970? Because of all that combined, people pretty much lost interest pretty quickly, and the electric car pretty much faded to the background. People all but forgot about electric cars after about 1979. One successful electric car at this time is Sebring Vanguard City Car. The company produced more than 2,000 city cars, a wedge-shaped compact car that had a range of just about 50 to 60 miles. Its popularity made Sebring Vanguard the 6th largest U.S. automaker by 1975. 1979, the electric car saw a short-lived spark of interest and quickly died again after America recovered from its mini gas crisis. The electric car still wasn't quite ready for prime time and was still inferior compared to gas cars. I mean, the range on electric cars at that time, I mean, 50 to 60 miles, that's not too good by today's standards. Even back then, like, you could probably do 50 to 60 miles in a day, especially if you're commuting a long ways to work or even just on a daily trip. If you think about the 1970s, look at the competition. Some of America's favorite and most loved cars were created in the 1970s. American muscle is what the 70s are known for. I mean, you had the Dodge Charger, the Mustangs, the Challengers, Chevy. I mean, there's just a whole line of cars that came out during the 70s that people still like to drive today. So, I mean, the competition was stiff for electric cars during the 70s. So between 1990 and 1992, new federal and state regulations create a renewed interest in electric vehicles. The result, automakers began modifying popular vehicle models into electric vehicles, enabling them to achieve speeds and performance much closer to gasoline vehicles. 1996 is when the EV1 hit the market, and it pretty much gained a cult following. GM released the EV1, an electric vehicle that was designed and developed from the ground up. The EV1 quickly gained a cult following. Now, 1997, Toyota introduced the first mass-produced hybrid, the Prius. In 2000, Toyota released the Prius worldwide, and it became an instant success with celebrities. And, 1997, all the way up until today, the Prius has been around for a long time. I mean, it's still kind of a popular car when you think about hybrids or anything electric. So in 1999, behind the scenes, scientists and engineers were working to improve the electric vehicles and their batteries. Which takes me to 2006. This is when Silicon Valley decided to kind of jump into the electric market. 2006, Tesla Motors, a Silicon Valley startup, announces it will produce a luxury electric sports car with a range of 200 plus miles. Other car companies take note, accelerating work on their own electric vehicles. So this is kind of a pivotal moment for the electric car. Tesla pretty much changed the game instantly with an electric sports car. Up until then, electric cars were just like small, kind of weird shaped cars, nothing close to a sports car, I can tell you. But Tesla, they changed the game in 2006. And I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers that have subscribed to the channel so far. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment below if you want to see a certain topic covered, or if you just have ideas about something I should cover next. And also in the description below, if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel, need help with editing, check the description. There's going to be a link down there below for you to get in contact with me if you need help editing. I'll catch you on the next episode.